Welcome back to our channel, World Coins History. As you knew that old is gold, but these rare Lincoln Pennies coin that are most valuable than you think, don't spend one of them. You're lucky if you have one of these, so please watch complete video and find your treasure. Let's start this. Top 1. Today, we've got an exciting discovery that could add some serious value to your collection, the United States 1-cent coin from 1981. Now, you might be thinking, it's just a penny. But trust us, this seemingly ordinary coin holds a hidden treasure that could be worth far more than its face value. Stick around until the end, because we're about to reveal how much this tiny 1-cent coin could actually be worth today. Let's first take a moment to look at the history of this coin. The 1981 1-cent coin is part of the iconic Lincoln series, which has been around for over a century. While this coin may seem like just another penny, it was minted during an important time in U.S. history. The early 80s were a time of economic change, with inflation rates soaring and the country adjusting to a new decade. These pennies were produced in high quantities to meet the demand of everyday transactions. However, as years went by, many of these coins saw heavy circulation, and finding one in excellent condition has become increasingly rare. So, what makes the 1981 1-cent coin stand out from all the other pennies? The answer lies in its rarity and the possibility of errors that occurred during its minting. While most of the 1981 pennies you come across are worn out from years of use, there are some special variants that have become highly sought after by collectors. These variants come from errors that happened during the minting process, which makes them incredibly valuable to the right buyer. Let's talk about these errors in a bit more detail. Some 1981 pennies were struck with a double die, which means the design on the coin was accidentally stamped twice, creating a noticeable misalignment. This error is more common than you might think, but it's still a rare find, and it dramatically increases the coin's value. A double die error gives the coin a unique look, with the details on Lincoln's portrait or the lettering appearing slightly distorted or doubled, making it a true collector's item. Another reason this coin can be valuable is because of the metal composition. The 1981 1-cent coin was made primarily of copper, which gives it a distinct color and weight compared to the newer pennies, which are primarily made of zinc. As copper prices rise, coins made from this metal also gain in value, especially if they're in great condition. A well-preserved 1981 copper penny is more desirable to collectors because of its historical composition and the fact that it was made during a time when the U.S. was still producing coins with a higher copper content. But what if your 1981 penny doesn't have any obvious minting errors or unique features? Don't worry, condition still plays a huge role in determining the value of your coin. A well-preserved penny, one that has barely been touched by time and shows no wear or corrosion, can still fetch a decent price in the market. Coins in mint state condition are always in demand, and the 1981 1-cent is no exception. If you happen to come across one of these coins that looks as if it just came fresh from the mint, hold on to it. It could be worth more than you expect. Now, here's the part you've been waiting for, the value. If you find yourself with a 1981 1-cent coin that's in exceptional condition, or better yet, one with a rare error like a double die, your coin could be worth a mind-blowing $40,000. Yes, you heard that right, $40,000. That's a lot of value packed into a tiny penny. So, next time you're sifting through a jar of old change or browsing through a collection of pennies, keep your eyes peeled for the 1981 1-cent coin. It may just be the hidden gem you've been looking for. Remember, condition, rarity, and those rare minting errors can make all the difference when it comes to the value of a coin. Keep collecting, and who knows? Top 2, we have an exciting gem to talk about. A coin that might just be hiding in your pocket right now, the United States 1-cent coin from 1985. Now, I know what you're thinking, a penny, right? How could a penny be worth anything more than just 1 cent? Well, stick around because this particular penny might surprise you, and by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why the 1985 1-cent coin is so highly sought after by collectors, and how much it's worth today. Let's start with the basics. The 1985 1-cent coin is a part of the long-running Lincoln series, which has been a staple of American currency for over a century. This series, first introduced in 1909, has seen numerous changes over the years, but the core design, Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the front, has remained a consistent feature. However, just because it's a familiar coin doesn't mean it doesn't have hidden value. The 1985 penny, like many others, was minted during a time when coins were produced in massive quantities to keep up with the demand for everyday use. But that's where the story starts to get interesting. You see, while most 1985 pennies were spent and passed around in circulation, there are some out there that are far more rare and valuable than you might expect. The key factor here is the coin's rarity, and the condition it's in. A coin that's been worn down by years of handling and use might not be worth much more than its face value, but when you find a 1985 penny that's been well preserved, or even better, has a unique error, that's when things get exciting. One of the most desirable versions of the 1985 1-cent coin has a special minting error, a double die. For those of you who are unfamiliar with this term, a double die error occurs when the design on the coin is stamped more than once, but slightly out of alignment. This creates a noticeable doubling of the lettering, particularly on the word Liberty and the date, 1985. It's subtle, but if you know what to look for, it's easy to spot. These coins are incredibly rare and highly valued because of the unique, doubled effect that sets them apart from standard pennies. The reason collectors are so interested in error coins like these is simple: they're one-of-a-kind pieces. No two coins with minting errors are exactly the same, which makes them highly coveted in the numismatic world. Imagine owning a coin that's so rare and unique that it's the only one like it in existence. How cool is that? Error coins like the 1985 double die are the kind of find that can make any collector's heart race. But what if you don't have an error coin? Well, don't worry, condition is still king when it comes to determining the value of your 1985 penny. Coins that are well preserved, with sharp details and no noticeable wear, are always in high demand. The older a coin gets, the harder it is to find one in pristine condition. A 1985 penny that looks almost as good as the day it was minted is considered to be in mint state, and these coins can command impressive prices at auction.as. You're probably starting to see, it's not just the age of a coin that determines its value. Rarity, condition, and even minting errors are all key factors that make a coin worth much more than its face value. And now, for the moment you've been waiting for, the value of a 1985 1-cent coin. If you happen to have a 1985 penny with a double die error, or if you've got a coin that's in perfect condition, you could be looking at a coin worth $34,000. Yes, you heard that right, $34,000 for a single 1985 penny. It's incredible, isn't it? So, next time you're digging through your spare change or looking at your coin collection, keep an eye out for this little treasure. A well-preserved 1985 penny could be a lot more valuable than you think. Top 3, we're diving into a coin that might just be sitting in your collection, or perhaps even in your pocket right now, one that could be worth a whole lot more than you think. Yes, we're talking about the 1994 United States 1-cent coin, also known as the penny. It may look like a regular penny, but trust me, this little coin could be a hidden gem with an extraordinary value. So stick around as we explore the history, rarity, and unique features of this fascinating coin. Now, let's take a step back and understand where this coin comes from. The 1994 penny was minted during a time when the U.S. economy was flourishing, and the country was moving through the 1990s with confidence. But what makes this specific penny special, you ask? It's not just because it's from the 90s. Oh no, there's more to it than that. First, let's talk about the basics. The 1994 penny features the familiar design we all know. On the obverse, Abraham Lincoln's portrait is prominently displayed, as it has been since 1909. But here's where it gets interesting. The reverse side of the 1994 penny features the iconic Lincoln Memorial, a symbol of strength and history, representing the U.S. government. Sounds pretty standard, right? Well, here's where things start to get exciting. You see, the 1994 penny is known for its potential to have a few rare and valuable characteristics that set it apart from the hundreds of millions that were minted that year. One of the most important factors that makes this coin so desirable to collectors is the condition. Most pennies from 1994 were circulated heavily, meaning they've been through countless hands and are often in poor condition. But if you manage to find one in mint condition, unblemished, free of wear, and almost as fresh as the day it was struck, then you have a real treasure on your hands. Now, let's talk about something that really makes this coin stand out in the eyes of collectors: minting errors. Minting errors are one of the most exciting aspects of numismatics because they make a coin completely unique. Imagine this: a tiny mistake during the production process that creates a one-of-a-kind coin. With the 1994 penny, there are a few errors that could dramatically increase its value. For example, some pennies from this year were struck off-center, meaning the image wasn't aligned properly when the coin was created. This gives the coin a unique and irregular shape that collectors find fascinating. Other potential errors include doubling on the lettering or the date, known as double die varieties. These errors occur when the die used to stamp the coin strikes the blank planchet more than once, resulting in a slight duplication of the design. If you come across a 1994 penny with noticeable doubling, hold on tight because that could be a goldmine for collectors. But wait, there's even more. Some 1994 pennies have been found with unusual or inconsistent metal compositions. These coins are known as planchet errors, and they occur when the wrong type of metal is used during the minting process. A copper penny might end up being minted with zinc or a different alloy, giving it a unique color or weight. These errors are extremely rare and highly sought after by collectors who are always on the lookout for something out of the ordinary. Now, you might be thinking, okay, a penny is just a penny, right? How could it be worth anything significant? Well, here's the truth: when it comes to rare coins, it's all about the details. A 1994 penny that is in pristine condition, or one that has a minting error, can fetch quite a lot of money on the market. And here's the kicker: the price can go up significantly depending on the rarity of the error or the quality of the coin. If you're lucky enough to stumble upon a 1994 penny with one of these rare features, you might be holding something worth a small fortune. So, are you ready for the big reveal? If you've got a 1994 penny in excellent condition, or better yet, one that features a rare minting error, it could be worth as much as $40,000. That's right, $40,000 for a single penny. It's incredible to think that such a small and seemingly ordinary coin could have such a huge value. So, if you're out hunting for coins or you've got some old pennies stashed away in a drawer, make sure to check them carefully. You might just have a rare treasure hiding in plain sight. We hope you enjoyed learning about the 1994 US penny and the hidden value it holds. If you're a collector or a coin enthusiast, you know that every coin has a story, and sometimes that story leads to unbelievable discoveries. Top 4, we've got a real gem to talk about, a coin that might be sitting in your collection or tucked away in your pocket right now. We're talking about the United States 1-cent coin from 1971. At first glance, this may seem like just another penny, but trust me, there's much more to this coin than meets the eye. If you're into coin collecting or just love the idea of discovering hidden treasures, you're in for a treat. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll be blown away by how much a 1971 1-cent coin can be worth today. The 1971 penny is part of the famous Lincoln series, which has been circulating in the United States for more than a century. While the Lincoln memorial design on the reverse side of this coin has become iconic, it's the specific details of the 1971 penny that make it stand out in the eyes of collectors. In fact, it's a coin that, despite being minted in large quantities, has become more and more rare over the years. But what makes the 1971 1-cent coin so special, and why is it worth far more than its 1-cent value? Let's dive into the details. First off, let's talk about the sheer rarity of this coin. In 1971, the U.S. Mint produced an enormous number of pennies to meet the high demand of daily transactions. Like many other pennies from that era, these coins were made to be used, not stored. Over the years, most of these coins were lost, worn down, or simply discarded, leaving only a small number of them in excellent condition. The 1971 penny, like many coins from the early 70s, wasn't immune to this process, and most of the surviving examples have been heavily circulated. That makes finding one in mint or near mint condition quite a rare and valuable find, but rarity alone doesn't tell the full story. What makes the 1971 penny truly special is the potential for minting errors, which can dramatically increase its value. One of the most significant errors that collectors are on the lookout for is the double die variety. This error happens when the coin is struck multiple times, causing a slight misalignment in the design. In the case of the 1971 penny, the double die error often affects the lettering on the coin, particularly the word Liberty or even the date itself, making them appear doubled or blurry. These double die errors are highly coveted by collectors because they create coins that are unlike any others. A coin that was struck twice with a misalignment has a unique look and is a true one-of-a-kind piece. For collectors, finding a 1971 penny with this error is like striking gold. These errors don't occur every day, and when they do, they make the coin far more valuable than a standard, error-free version. Now, you might be wondering, what about the regular 1971 pennies without any errors? Well, even if your 1971 penny doesn't have the double die error, it can still be worth a significant amount if it's in pristine condition. Remember, the better the condition of the coin, the higher its value. So, a 1971 penny that's been well preserved, with no wear or damage, will always be more valuable than one that's been circulating for years. Coins in mint condition or those with sharp, clear details are always in high demand, which makes a well-kept 1971 penny a great addition to any collection. But let's get to the most exciting part, the value. If you happen to have a 1971 penny with a double die error, or if your penny is in mint condition, your coin could be worth an eye-popping $75,000. Yes, you heard that right, $75,000 for a single penny. It's incredible to think that such a small coin could hold so much value, but that's the power of rarity, condition, and unique errors in the world of coin collecting. So, if you're digging through your coin collection or sorting through some spare change, keep an eye out for the 1971 penny. If it's in great shape, or if you spot a double die error, you could be holding on to a small fortune. It's amazing what hidden treasures you might come across just by paying attention to the details. Top 5, we've got an exciting find to talk about, something that might just be hidden in your pocket or tucked away in your coin collection. We're diving into the United States 1-cent coin from 1982. Now, you might think it's just another penny, but trust me, there's a lot more to this coin than meets the eye. The 1982 1-cent coin has some fascinating characteristics that make it extremely valuable to collectors, and by the end of this video, you'll be blown away by just how much this tiny penny could be worth. Stick around and let's take a closer look. The 1982 penny is part of the Lincoln Memorial Series, a design that has been a staple of American coinage for decades. But 1982 was a particularly important year for U.S. currency because it marked a significant change in the coin's composition. Before 1982, pennies were made mostly of copper, but due to rising copper prices, the U.S. Mint switched the composition of the 1-cent coin to a mix of copper and zinc. This change is what makes the 1982 penny such an interesting and valuable coin to collectors. So what's the catch? Well, not all 1982 pennies are created equal. As you can imagine, the transition between copper and zinc wasn't as smooth as it sounds. The U.S. Mint produced both copper and zinc pennies in 1982, which means there are two distinct types of 1982 pennies out there, one made of 95% copper and the other with a copper-plated zinc core. This means that there are actually two different varieties of the 1982 1-cent coin, and collectors are always on the lookout for the rare copper version. The copper-based 1982 pennies are rare because they were produced in very limited numbers before the composition change was fully implemented. In fact, most of the 1982 pennies you come across will be the zinc variety, so finding a copper version is quite a big deal. These copper pennies are highly sought after by collectors, and they can fetch a high price, especially if they're in great condition, but that's not the only reason why the 1982 penny is valuable. Some of these pennies also have minting errors that can significantly increase their worth. One of the most common errors to look out for is the double die error, where the design of the coin is struck more than once, causing some of the lettering or images to appear doubled. In the case of the 1982 penny, this error often affects the Liberty inscription or the date, making them appear slightly blurry or doubled. It's a subtle but exciting flaw that can make a coin more valuable to collectors. The rarity of these error coins is what makes them so appealing. Another factor that makes the 1982 penny especially interesting is its connection to the overall change in U.S. coinage. As the composition of the penny changed, so did the way it looked and felt. The new zinc pennies were lighter, and their appearance was slightly different from the older copper coins. For collectors, the 1982 penny represents a significant shift in U.S. currency, which makes it an important historical piece to own. Now, let's talk about the value. You may be wondering, how much can a 1982 penny actually be worth? Well, if you happen to have a 1982 penny made of copper, or if you find one with a minting error, your coin could be worth an impressive $36,000. Yes, you heard that right, $36,000 for a single penny. It's incredible how much a coin that's so small and seemingly insignificant can actually be worth, but that's the magic of coin collecting. So, the next time you're going through your spare change, be sure to take a close look at your 1982 pennies. If you spot a copper version, or if you find one with a minting error, you could be sitting on a treasure worth tens of thousands of dollars. It's a reminder that sometimes the smallest things can hold the most value. Top 6. We're diving into something truly exciting today, the United States 1-cent coin from 1984. Now, at first glance, you might think it's just another penny, but wait, this little coin holds a secret, and it could be worth more than you could ever imagine. You might have one sitting in your collection right now, or even in your change jar, and today we're going to show you why this seemingly ordinary penny could be worth thousands of dollars. Stick around because this is going to be an exciting journey into the world of rare coins. Let's start with a bit of history. The 1984 penny is part of the iconic Lincoln Memorial series, which has been circulating in the U.S. since the early 1900s. These pennies feature Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the obverse, that's the front side of the coin, while the reverse shows the Lincoln Memorial, which has been a defining feature of U.S. coins for decades. The 1984 penny was minted during a time when the economy was fairly stable, and these coins were produced in large quantities. You'd think that with so many pennies minted that year, it would be hard for any one coin to stand out, right? But here's where things get interesting. While most 1984 pennies may not be worth much more than their face value, there are some key factors that can turn this coin into a serious collector's item. What makes the 1984 penny so interesting is the possibility of rare minting errors. Yes, those little imperfections that occur during the production process can make a coin incredibly valuable. And believe it or not, the 1984 penny is no stranger to these kinds of errors. One of the most significant errors that collectors are on the lookout for is the double die error. What is a double die error, you ask? Well, when a coin is struck more than once during the minting process, it can cause the design to appear slightly misaligned. This results in the image or text being doubled, making it stand out from a regular coin. For the 1984 penny, this double die error often affects the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," or even the date, causing them to appear doubled or blurry. To a collector, a double die error is like finding gold. These errors are relatively rare, and finding one in excellent condition is even more uncommon. The 1984 penny with a double die error is highly prized by collectors because it's a unique piece of history that stands out from the rest of the pennies produced that year. It's not just a regular penny, it's a one-of-a-kind coin with a flaw that makes it incredibly special. And that's exactly why collectors are willing to pay top dollar for a coin like this. But let's not forget that even without a minting error, the condition of the 1984 penny plays a huge role in its value. Coins that have been well preserved, with little wear and tear, always fetch higher prices on the market. So, if you happen to have a 1984 penny that looks like it's been carefully stored and hasn't seen much circulation, then that's an instant plus in terms of its value. Coins that retain their original shine, sharp edges, and clear details are in high demand, and collectors love adding these pristine examples to their collections. Another reason why the 1984 penny is so sought after is due to the larger context of U.S. coinage during that time. The 1980s were an important decade for the U.S. Mint, as the country was facing shifts in the economy and changes in production methods. Because of this, coins from this era can hold a significant amount of historical value, especially when they have minting errors or are in outstanding condition. Owning a 1984 penny is like holding a small piece of U.S. history, one that collectors appreciate and are willing to pay handsomely for. So, what's the bottom line here? If you have a 1984 penny that shows signs of a double die error, or if you're lucky enough to have one in perfect, uncirculated condition, you could be holding a coin worth much more than you thought. In fact, a well-preserved 1984 penny with a double die error could be worth an incredible $32,000. That's right, $32,000 for a single penny. It's hard to believe, but that's the reality of coin collecting, where rare errors and unique conditions can make a coin worth thousands of times its original value. So, if you're sorting through your spare change or checking your collection, be sure to keep an eye out for the 1984 penny. You never know, you could have found a rare treasure worth a small fortune. And remember, even if your 1984 penny doesn't have any minting errors, it could still be valuable if it's in excellent condition. Top 7, we're talking about the United States 1-cent coin from 1977. While it may seem like just another penny, this coin has a story to tell that could potentially lead to an incredible discovery, and a fortune. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just starting to dive into the world of rare coins, today's video is packed with details that could change the way you look at this little piece of American history. Let's start with a little background. The 1977 penny is part of the beloved Lincoln Memorial series, which has been a staple of U.S. coinage for over a century. The obverse features the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, while the reverse side depicts the Lincoln Memorial, a symbol of the nation's history and strength. The 1977 penny was produced in large numbers, like most pennies from the era, but what makes this coin different from the others? Well, let's dive into what makes the 1977 1-cent coin particularly fascinating to collectors. First off, the sheer number of 1977 pennies in circulation means that most of them are not in pristine condition. Over the years, these coins were used in daily transactions, dropped, and worn down, meaning that finding one in excellent or uncirculated condition is a rare occurrence. But here's the kicker: despite the high mintage, finding a 1977 penny in perfect condition can make all the difference in its value. The 1977 penny is one of those coins that has quietly become highly sought after by collectors due to its rarity and pristine condition. Coins that have been kept in excellent shape without scratches, dents, or signs of heavy circulation hold significant value. The appeal of these pennies lies in the fact that they are increasingly harder to find in such perfect condition, especially after almost 50 years. So, if you happen to come across a 1977 penny that still has its original shine and sharp details, you might have a hidden treasure in your hands. But it's not just about condition. The real excitement for collectors comes with the possibility of minting errors. Yes, those tiny imperfections that occur during the production process can elevate the value of a coin exponentially. The 1977 penny, just like other coins from this era, has been subject to a few notable minting errors that make it even more desirable to collectors. One of the most common and exciting errors found on the 1977 penny is the double die variety. A double die error happens when a coin is struck more than once during the minting process. The result? The image or text on the coin appears doubled or blurred. For the 1977 penny, this error is typically found in the inscription "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," or even in the date itself. If you're lucky enough to come across a 1977 penny with a double die error, you found a truly special coin. These errors are extremely rare, and because of the unique design flaw, the value of these coins can skyrocket among collectors. Another error to watch out for is the off-center strike. This occurs when the coin is not perfectly aligned when it's struck, causing part of the design to be missing or shifted. Off-center pennies can be incredibly valuable, especially if they have a dramatic misalignment. A 1977 penny with an off-center strike is a one-of-a-kind piece that stands out from the rest, and that's exactly what collectors crave. But let's not forget about the significance of the 1977 penny in the broader context of U.S. coinage. The late 1970s were a time of economic transition for the country. The U.S. was dealing with inflation, energy crises, and shifts in the production of currency. The 1977 penny, therefore, represents a snapshot of that era. Owning one is like holding a small piece of history, which is part of the reason why collectors are so eager to find these coins in their collections. Now, the big question: how much could a 1977 penny be worth? If you happen to have a 1977 penny in near-perfect, uncirculated condition or, even better, one with a minting error like the double die or off-center strike, you could be holding a coin worth a jaw-dropping $56,000. Yes, you heard that correctly, $56,000 for a single penny. It's mind-blowing, right? A small coin like this could hold so much value, but that's the beauty of coin collecting. Rare errors and perfect condition can make a huge difference in the price of a coin. So, what should you do now? Take a closer look at your change jar, search through your old coin collection, or even check the pennies that might be lying around your house. If you find a 1977 penny that's in excellent condition, or if you spot a rare minting error, you could be looking at a small fortune. Remember, in the world of coin collecting, it's all about paying attention to the details. Top 8, we're about to dive into something truly exciting, the 1987 1-cent coin from the United States. At first glance, this coin might seem like just another penny, but trust me, it's far more valuable than you might think. This small piece of American currency could actually be worth thousands of dollars, and today, I'm going to tell you exactly why this seemingly ordinary penny is worth your attention. So grab your magnifying glass and get ready, because we're about to explore how a 1987 penny could potentially change your life. Let's start with a little background on the 1987 penny. The 1987 1-cent coin was minted as part of the Lincoln Memorial Series, which has been a key part of U.S. coinage for decades. The obverse of the coin features the classic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, while the reverse showcases the Lincoln Memorial, a symbol of American strength and history. As with many other coins produced during the 1980s, the 1987 penny was made primarily of copper, with a small percentage of zinc mixed in, but despite being produced in large quantities, the 1987 penny stands out for a few reasons. First off, the sheer volume of pennies minted that year means that most 1987 pennies are very common, and their value is typically just 1 cent. However, what sets this coin apart for collectors is the possibility of finding rare versions or errors, which can increase its value dramatically. One of the main reasons the 1987 penny is so interesting to collectors is due to its potential for minting errors. If you've been into coin collecting for a while, you know that minting errors can turn an otherwise ordinary coin into a highly valuable one. The 1987 penny, in particular, has been known to have some significant errors that make it a hot commodity in the numismatic world. One of the most sought-after errors that collectors look for on the 1987 penny is the double die variety. A double die error happens when the design is struck more than once during the minting process, which causes the images on the coin to appear doubled or blurry. This can happen to any part of the design, but on the 1987 penny, collectors are particularly looking for doubled lettering in the inscription, Liberty, or the phrase, In God We Trust. If you happen to find a 1987 penny with one of these doubled inscriptions, you've just found a real treasure. Another common error on the 1987 penny is the off-center strike. This occurs when the coin is not perfectly aligned when it's struck, which results in part of the design being missing or shifted to one side. An off-center 1987 penny can be incredibly valuable, depending on how misaligned it is. The more dramatic the off-center strike, the more valuable the coin can be. And because these types of errors are relatively rare, collectors are always on the lookout for these unique and one-of-a-kind pieces, but errors aren't the only thing that makes the 1987 penny valuable. The condition of the coin plays a huge role in its worth. While most pennies from this time period have been circulated extensively and are in poor condition, a 1987 penny in uncirculated or near-perfect condition can be worth much more. Coins that have been carefully preserved and show no signs of wear or damage are in high demand among collectors. A mint-condition 1987 penny could easily fetch a higher price than you'd expect, even if it doesn't have any minting errors. In addition to being rare and valuable due to errors and condition, the 1987 penny holds a special place in the history of U.S. coinage. The 1980s were a time of economic change, and the 1987 penny is one of those coins that represents that era. As the U.S. Mint continued to produce these pennies during a time of inflation and changing production methods, they've become an important piece of U.S. numismatic history. For collectors, owning a 1987 penny is like holding a small piece of the country's past, and that's part of the appeal. So, you might be wondering, how much is a 1987 penny really worth? Well, if you happen to have a 1987 penny in excellent condition, or even better, one with a rare minting error, you could be sitting on a small fortune. A 1987 penny with a double die error or an off-center strike could be worth a staggering $31,000. Yes, you heard that right, $31,000 for a single penny. That's the magic of coin collecting. A small mistake, a rare version, or just an uncirculated coin can make a huge difference in the value of a coin. If you happen to find a 1987 penny in your collection, take a close look at the details. Examine the lettering, check for any signs of minting errors, and evaluate the condition of the coin. If you find something special, you could be holding a coin that's worth much more than just its face value. Top 9, and last unique coin, we have something really exciting for you, a coin that might just be sitting in your collection, waiting to surprise you with its incredible value. We're talking about the 2001 United States 1-cent coin. At first glance, it might seem like just another penny, but there's much more to this coin than meets the eye. If you're a coin enthusiast or just someone who loves finding hidden treasures, this video is for you. Stick with us as we dive into the fascinating world of the 2001 penny and explore why this particular coin is so valuable. Let's start with a bit of history. The 2001 penny was part of the Lincoln Memorial series, which had been in circulation for decades. The design features the iconic image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, a symbol of strength and unity for the United States. The 2001 penny, much like its predecessors, was minted in large quantities. But even though it might seem like just another year in a long line of penny productions, this particular coin has a unique appeal to collectors. The value of the 2001 penny is primarily driven by its rarity in certain conditions, as well as the possibility of minting errors. While the vast majority of pennies minted in 2001 are quite common, some rare versions can make this coin extremely valuable. The key here is condition and the presence of certain minting errors, which can drastically increase the price of an otherwise ordinary coin. First, let's talk about the condition. As you probably know, most coins that are in circulation for years, like the 2001 penny, are subject to wear and tear. They get scratched, tarnished, and sometimes even bent. However, if you happen to find a 2001 penny in uncirculated or near mint condition, you've already found something much more valuable than its face value of 1-cent pennies in excellent condition are always in demand by collectors, and they're worth much more than a coin that's been worn down over time. But here's where things get really interesting: minting errors. Minting errors can transform an ordinary coin into a prized collectible. And let me tell you, the 2001 penny has had its fair share of minting errors that make it particularly exciting for collectors. One of the most sought-after errors is the double die variety. This occurs when the coin is struck more than once during the minting process, causing the images on the coin, like the date or the inscriptions, to appear doubled. On the 2001 penny, collectors are especially looking for doubled lettering in the words "Liberty" or "In God We Trust." If you happen to find a 2001 penny with a noticeable double die error, you're looking at a coin that's worth far more than just its face value. Another minting error to keep an eye out for is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin is not perfectly aligned during the striking process, causing part of the design to be missing or shifted to one side. Off-center pennies are quite valuable, especially if the misalignment is significant. So, if you find a 2001 penny that has part of Lincoln's face or the inscription missing, you could be holding a rare and valuable error coin in your hand. It's also worth mentioning that some 2001 pennies have been found with other less common minting errors, such as die cracks or mismatched designs. These types of errors can add to the appeal of the coin, making it even more desirable for collectors. So, when you're going through your collection or searching through your change, be sure to check every 2001 penny you come across, because you never know when you might find an error that could make your coin worth a lot more than you expect. Now, let's talk about the big question: how much is a 2001 penny worth? If you happen to find a 2001 penny in mint condition or with a rare minting error, the value can be much higher than you might think. Some 2001 pennies with the right condition or errors have sold for thousands of dollars, but here's the kicker: a single 2001 penny with a significant error could be worth $19,000. Yes, you heard that correctly, $19,000 for a single penny. That's the power of coin collecting, where small imperfections or a well-preserved piece of history can turn an ordinary coin into an extraordinary treasure. So, what should you do now? The next time you're sorting through your change or checking out your old coins, take a moment to really look at your 2001 pennies. Examine them carefully for any signs of minting errors, check the condition, and don't be afraid to do a little research to see if you have a rare find on your hands. You might just be holding a coin that's worth much more than you thought. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about rare and valuable coins, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss out on our future videos. Who knows? Your next penny could be the one that makes you a small fortune. Thanks for watching, and happy collecting. Keep hunting for those rare coins. You never know what hidden gems you might uncover.